I'm Ashwani Kumar, based in Mumbai. I thank Azad and the 87 Press and Sara for organizing this wonderful gathering and reading. Today, I dedicate my poems to all the oppressed people of the world and also to the people who died in the COVID pandemic. The first poem that I'm going to read is a short poem, Flamingos in Early Summer. This is about, the crisis of migrant workers going home during the pandemic in India. Flamingos in early summer. Nobody thought in the terrible days of solitude, herds of jobless migrants with clay brick masks would suddenly arrive in the deserted city. With them, the Armenian flamingos also descended, flock after flock, flock after flock, in the maggoty shadows of early summer. From their sweaty pink wings, dry mustard leaves kept falling in the freshly made shelter homes, flapping their empty stomachs. Slowly they filled the sky with their hungry little cries for food and water. Infuriated with the smell of infectious blood, opulent city dwellers turned against themselves, speaking with the strange voices of stones in their moments of self-survival. The next poem that I'm going to read is a long poem from my book Banaras and the Other. It's the title poem, and the title of the poem in my Banaras book is Anatomy of Banarasi as told by Major James Runnell. James Runnell is a historical character. I will just speak a word or two about Major James Runnell. He was first Surveyor General of India during the colonial time, and he surveyed India, entire India. So in this poem, he is the narrator. And we all remember, since childhood, the Bengal Atlas. So he had also published Bengal Atlas. So this is a very long poem, and the title poem of the book, my book, Anatomy of Banaras. And here is the book, you can see this book, Banaras and the Other here. I will read two sections, hopefully, and like to read a poem within my allocated time. And I'm using the name Banarasi here, that was used by Abul Fazl during the medieval time in India. The title of the poem, once again, I share with you. Anatomy of Banarasi as told by Major James Runnell. Bathed in sun and salt, draped in white loincloth, she enters the perineum of the sanctorum of the buffalo horn masked ascetic god. Lions, lions sitting cross-legged in the lotus posture, growl in anticipation of the procession of voluptuous cheerleaders with high nose bridges, slim waist, large hips. It was the third day of rainbow, last in the original Vedas. Saturn was in the sixth house. Wives of sages with erring hearts cooked mutton in clay pitchers, washed secretly their lovers' limbs with the fragrance of their flame grilled bodies, and made merry in north and south positions on the deck of the peacock boat in the twin rivers of Varanasi. From the medieval mosques to hospital chaityas, aghoris in 21-yard funeral robes, flogged by lepers, pimps, and bootleggers, throng the gate of the Department of Religious Tolerance for free passes to the shrines of nomadic gods. Parrot astrologers, parrot astrologers, and runaway Khalistani terrorists rest on the staircase of old prostitutes' homes in the Assi land to discuss fluctuating fortunes of human sacrifice and mustard crops. Prompted by ancient boons, she leans geometrically and rubs vermilion paste on the head of the black lingam, cradling it gently with her lizard lips, flazed with spices imported from Mecca, bursting like a victorious native army. The lovesick aging god, lying on a bed of arrows, wakes up from opiate slumber in the camphor clouds of sacred ambitions trident, drum, conch, and lotuses in hands. The auspicious one, the auspicious one frees himself at the first stroke of revelation, measures rhythms of salvation in metric poems, recalls, recalls how on a wet December morning he beheaded Brahma on the riverfront for smuggling Mongol warriors into the city. He feels relieved from the daily course of eating everybody's sins and curses the seven sages for extolling the virtues of celibacy. On the 14th night of the waning moon, she rises after days of uninterrupted first night wedding joys with the stone god that neither we know, nor hear, nor exist anymore. Crosses the ghat filled with the scattered feathers of peacocks, sacrifices elongated rice balls bodies of three-eyed Brahmin ghosts, and strips her bliss naked with the sacred evening prayer in the river. We were warned by the famous local bard. One half of the city lives in water, the other half is a dead body, Shava. We must confess, we were alarmed by this unusual sight. There was neither government, nor religion, nor any ideology. Nothing was prescribed, nothing considered taboo, and civilization existed in simple geographical coordinates. Section 2. It was not until late evening that we realized the celestial gossip monger's warning was right. A new republic had dawned on the holy town. With black ink on the index finger, unbaptized Hindus, prime-time anarchists, part-time secularists, and the famous internet Baba had assembled on the banks of the polluted Himalayan river and promised to clean the accumulated ancient filth. The great leader in a golden Afghan jacket, limited edition watch, and Deccan rubber shoes tweeted not Solomon songs, but spewed lies, more lies until they became cobalt truth. His barbarian followers came with 3D banners on the back of captured seahorses from California Valley, leveled the black pillar, and chanted the raunchy Bhojpuri songs, Har Har Mahadev, Ghar Ghar Mahadev in a fantasy facade of ritual picnicking, left-wing Nagas and right-wing Gosains who often gambled, played, and relieved themselves in the flowing dump yard in the narrow lanes of the city, attacked the mummies from the memory bazaar. We were told, they were jobless migrants, they were carders, spinners, yarn makers, dyers. They were armed with looms, spindles, and 72 extra threads. Rumor said James Prinsep, Tavernier, and Sri Sri 1008 Dandapani were in the crowd when a mother cow was slaughtered and the emperor's mocks destroyed. As soon as radio jockeys Tiwari ji and Daddan Miya announced, Mandir Masjid banegi, Mandir Masjid wahi banegi, all flamingos and dark skinned slaves fled the city. Puzzled, we saw Brahmins, sheikhs, Jan priests looting pink feathers from designer shops, blood dripping from blood, mostly red, without any past austerities, spilled in opaque dysentery designs all over the mathematical tiles on the promenade of funeral ghats with canvas wings, severed bodies floated in the air of hatred and blossomed like untimely old Scottish roses. Seeing this, Kabir began to weep. साधु रे साधु ये मुर्दों का गांव ये मुर्दों का गांव पीर मरे पैगंबर मरी हैं मर गए जिंदा जोगी राजा मरिए प्रजा मरी हैं मर गए वैद रोगी. Keep in this mind, this is a village of the dead. The saints have died. Dead are the living mendicants. The ruler is dead. Dead are the ruled. Dead are the vigilantes and the peasants. Everybody, including junkies, smashed their looms and shivered city and hid themselves in the 1909 epitaph. Thank you very much.